So I'd like to start off by saying welcome to AP Calculus. It's very exciting to get to see you guys for the first time. And we are going to keep today kind of light because I know a lot of people are still having issues with evacuations and fires, but we will do some math today just because I know some people are anxious and ready to get going with all of that. So I would like to start off by actually like calling roll like I would if you were in here in class with me. And so what I'll do is I'll say your name, you can unmute yourself, and then you can just kind of let us know what has been going on for the last week with you in terms of were you evacuated? Are you back home? You know, is your home safe? Just kind of let us know what's going on just as a quick check-in, and everybody can keep that in, limit that to under a minute. So I'm going to start off with Gage, who is not here. And then we have Caden and Kaya. Go ahead and unmute yourself, Caden and Kaya.
Here. With the fire stuff, I think we were in a warning zone because we were out in Windsor, but we never got evacuated, so we've been all good.
Good. Thank you. And then Seamus, how about you?
I'm all good here.
Excellent. Thank you. Is Wilder here? Yes, I think I see you,
Yeah.
Wilder.
I've been evacuated for 11 days, but I think I'm going home today or tomorrow.
We'll keep our fingers crossed for you. I hope so. I know it's hard. It's very stressful. I don't see, let's see, is April here? I don't think April's here. Jacob, what's going on with you?
Hello. I'm completely fine. I live in Santa Rosa, so thankfully it hasn't affected me.
Good. Just some bad air quality sometimes, probably, right? Yeah. Let's see, is Chloe here? I don't think I see a Chloe. I think she might be new to the school. I haven't had any communication with her yet. How about Lucas?
I also live in Santa Rosa and nothing has happened to me.
So you're ready to do some math then, right? No comment. Okay. Nicole, how about you?
I'm all good, not evacuated.
Okay, great. And Michaela?
I've been evacuated since last Tuesday, and both of my parents work for the fire department, so yeah.
So crazy time for you. Yeah, well, hopefully you'll get to go back home soon, and at least you've got people that are working hard to keep you safe, but I'll be sending positive thoughts your way, and I hope you get home soon. Let's see, I lost track of where I was. After Michaela is Jesse.
I was evacuated for 2 days and now I'm back home.
Good to be home, huh?
Yeah.
Good. Luke.
I am home now. Yeah, you already know everything, so.
Well, I do, but you need to tell everybody else too. So.
I was evacuated. Mostly it was just not mandatory, and there's like 2 days of mandatory evacuation. Yeah, now I'm back home.
Happy to be home, Luke?
Yes.
Okay, Brooklyn.
I was in Wyoming dropping my brother off at college, and then like my stepdad stayed and like was packing up all our stuff, and then we came home, and like my house is always like, because 116 was the cutoff line and my road is like off of 116 on the left, so like we've always been in evacuation warning, but now it's lifted. But our house in Guerneville that we rent out is, I think they just lifted it yesterday, but yeah, I don't know, it's all good.
Good. Well, I'm glad it's good now. And how was it dropping your brother off at school? Was it hard?
Yes, I cried a lot, but it's okay.
Yep.
It's bound to happen someday.
I know, exactly. And you'll probably talk to him a lot while he's gone.
Definitely.
Yeah. Kazuki.
I was evacuated for like a day, but now I'm back.
Okay, good, good. And Callie.
I was also evacuated for like a day, me because of your like neighbors. I'm home now, so.
How close are you guys? Are you guys like next door neighbors or down the street or?
Like, it's down a different road, but his house is like right next to mine.
Okay, gotcha. Cool. Quinn.
We got pretty lucky. People across the street from us were evacuated, but we weren't, so all good for me.
Crazy. Dea.
I live in Santa Rosa, so I shouldn't have evacuated, but my dad was like, oh, there's horrible air quality, so let's go all the way to Arizona. So now we're stuck here.
So now you're in Arizona?
Yeah,
When are you guys planning on coming home?
tomorrow.
Okay, good. Good, good. Let's see. Evan.
No evacuations. It ended. The border was just down the street from us, but yeah.
Good. Got to stay home.
Yeah.
Good, good. All right, Noah.
My house is still under evacuation, so if I leave, I can't get back in, so I'm kind of just stuck here.
Good. So have you guys stayed home the whole time then?
We were in San Diego, but my mom is like an essential worker, so they let us get back in, but can't really leave again.
Gotcha. Gotcha. That's right. I forgot you were on vacation and then you came back to this mess.
Yep.
Crazy. Let's see. I don't see Jordan. Jordan's not here, is she? Okay. Well, I know the fire was very close to her house as of a couple of days ago, so hopefully everything's okay there. Grace.
I'm never evacuated, but like I was like right across the street from like the warning, I guess. So yeah, I just stayed home.
Good. Were you ever nervous at all?
Kind of. One of the days I was at work and a sheriff came and like so many like sheriff cars were just passing my work, and I just work at Mom's Apple Pie, and the sheriff came in and like told us that we should like close early and all this stuff, but I don't know. But,
Yeah. It can be a little nerve-wracking even if you're not evacuated. Okay, and I don't think Natalie is here. And I know that she is in a mandatory evacuation area too. So hopefully everything's okay with Natalie. How about Celia?
We never had to evacuate. We live across the street from the warning, but it's fine.
Okay, good, good. And Dylan?
Everything's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Good, good. And Kevin?
Oh, we never have to evacuate it, which is fine.
Okay, good. And so Dylan and Kevin, are you guys brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. So yet another pair of siblings in our class. It's crazy. I've never had this before, ever in my teaching career. 3 sets of siblings in one class. Pretty cool. Let's see. Then we have Luca and Rafaela.
We live in Guerneville, so we were evacuated for like 8 or 9 days, but we live like just south of the river, so we're back home. And we're okay now.
So you guys are back home now?
Yeah.
Okay, good, good. All right. Christina.
I'm not evacuated. I'm at home.
Good. I hear other stuff going on in the background, so it was hard for me to hear you.
Yeah.
So you're at home. Did you get evacuated?
No.
Okay, good. All right, Jasper.
We were evacuated for a few days, but I'm back home now.
Okay, good, good. And is it Lolly?
I was evacuated also last Tuesday, but we were able to get home last night, so I'm back home.
Yay. Good to be home. Stressful time for sure. Let's see. And then April, you popped in after I called your name. You've probably figured out what we're doing at this point. So just let us know if you were evacuated, how things are going, if you're safe, all that good stuff.
Yeah, I wasn't evacuated, was never even in an evacuation warning zone, and things are going good, and I'm sorry for coming in late, but internet's finicky for
Okay.
one, and lost track of time for another.
Okay, so on that note, I just wanted to kind of talk to you guys about a couple of things when we are in class together. You do need to sign in with your first and last name, which all of you now have. And you need to make sure that I can see your full face the whole time, which has not been an issue with any of you guys yet. A lot of people will, you know, hide and only show like their forehead sometimes, or just nose and above, but I want to see your whole face the whole time. So make sure you're doing that. I am going to start opening up the waiting room probably 5 minutes before class. And so that can be like a passing period time. If you want to come in and visit with friends at that time, you can. I'll start letting people in. And that way I'm hoping we can actually start right at 10 and not have to wait, you know, 3 or 4 minutes to let everybody in. And just so you know too, sorry, I just got a message about somebody's Zoom not working. So I lost my train of thought. Normally we won't go through a roll at the beginning of class like this. Is just because it's, you know, my first time getting to see you guys. Zoom has a way that it does attendance for me, which I'm so excited about, because last spring that would take like, you know, the first 10 minutes of class or something. So that'll be great. Let's see, I wanted to check in with you guys. Most everybody now has either finished the summer assignment or at least got it mostly finished. If you do not yet, that is something that needs to get done. That's going to be an important thing going forward. And excuse me, any of the assignments that I've assigned so far, because we've had such kind of a bumpy, rocky start, you have until Sunday to get in for full credit still. If you need more time than that, you just have to email me and ask me. It is no problem, okay? From this point on, like starting next week, if you turn things in late, they will be half credit. You'll lose half credit if they're turned in late, okay? I normally plan to assign things and have them due the day they're assigned at midnight that day. And if that's not enough time for you ever, all you have to do is send me a message before the due date and the due time and just ask for an extension, and just maybe say that you will get it turned in by noon tomorrow or by Saturday at 3 o'clock, or just give me a new due date for yourself so that there's a new time that you'll have it in. I do plan on having some study groups based on the summer assignment, and that's why I had you guys do that that kind of self-assessment thing on the summer assignment. I want you to know what your strengths are and what you need to work on, because honestly, those skills in that summer assignment are going to be really important for this class, but also I'm assuming if you're in AP Calculus, you're probably going to end up going to college at some point, whether it's JC first or a 4-year, and there will be some math that you have to do at some point. There will be a placement test that you'll have to take, unless you pass the AP exam, that counts as your placement test. And it's going to be those kind of pre-calculus skills that you need to be good at for that placement test. And the one plug I'll give you guys about that is if you do well on the placement test, then that means less math you have to pay for in college, right? I mean, you're paying for your classes in college. And so the better that you can do once you get to college, the less money you're going to spend in the long run. So, so I do want to make sure that you guys have those skills down. So we will do some study groups, and they may end up being, you know, like after school or something like that. And they may or may not be optional. I haven't decided how I want to do that yet, but I do want to get you guys up and going on some of those skills that you are struggling with, that will not only make you successful in calculus, but also just in your future. How are we doing? Any questions so far? All right. I do grading in Google Classroom and in Aries. So you can use that to-do list in Google Classroom to check to see if you have assignments that are coming up or missing. That's a really good way to, you know, to make sure you're staying on top of your work. For my class especially, and I think all the teachers are using Google Classroom now, so that is a nice thing to do. You can also use the calendar setting in Google Classroom. That's pretty handy too. It tells you what assignments you have coming up and when. I believe I am up to date with Google Classroom and Aries. So if you think there's something that I'm missing, make sure you send me a message so that I can take a look at it and we can get that figured out. I have, at first I had 186 students, which is absurd. And they made a switch. So I now only have 164 students now, which is still more than we're supposed to have, but it's much more manageable. At any rate, my point is I may have missed a couple of things because that's a lot of people to have to grade and enter the grades for and do everything that I was having to do for. So, so keep an eye out and let me know if there's something there that we need to fix and take care of. I would appreciate your help with that, and just politely ask me to take a look at those things. Let's see. I think I talked about all of the things I wanted to talk about. I do want to talk to you guys about Floop a little bit. So I gave you guys an assignment last week in Floop. And so I wanted to share my screen with you guys and talk about that just a little bit. So I'm going to first come here. Oh, I wanted to tell you guys something else about Google Classroom too while I'm here. I have made my stream only show announcements that I make. So my stream is not going to show you assignments that are posted and that kind of thing. You have to go over to the classwork tab for that. And I did that just to kind of keep this a little bit less chaotic, a little bit easier to be able to find announcements and that kind of thing. In the classwork tab, you'll find that I am going to be organizing things by the week. And also there's this Zoom topic where not only you can find the Zoom link that will be the same every week, but this will also be where I record. I'm going to put the recordings of all the classes. So if there's ever something that you want to watch again, you can open that up and you can fast forward to the part that you wanted to see again, or if you ever missed a class or something like that. So that's good to know. I'll put those recordings there in that Zoom topic there. Okay, so Floop. There's Jacob's. I wanted to show you guys Kaya's. Kaya, I hope you don't mind because she has submitted a second version. And so I just wanted to show you guys what that looked like at my end. So originally, you know, she turned in this assignment here and I left some comments, and I don't know what it looks like at your guys' end, but you know, you can click on those buttons there to see the comments. And you can see over here too, it says seen by students. So that tells me that she has read all of my comments. Okay, and you can see up here, I have some comments that have come in since yesterday afternoon that I haven't gotten to yet. So more about that later. So I made some comments. I asked her to fix a few things. And so some of those things she was able to just answer in the comments, like she responded in the actual comment here. I think this one was one where she kind of talked about what that was. And then if you look at her second version, she actually took a picture of the exact same assignment and then just fixed the things Like the thing I just clicked on, I think was right here. And so you can see she just fixed that part there. So in the future, I think how I'd like you guys to do this is brand new for me, I've never used it before, is if you do a second version, make sure it's really clear to me what you changed. Because like I said, you can barely see the difference between her first version and second version. And so when I look at this, I'm like, oh gosh, what did I tell Kaya to fix, you know? And so if you can maybe put a star by it or a box around it, or if you just fix the ones that needed to be fixed on a separate sheet of paper, and just attach that as your version 2, that's okay too. So I kind of think it makes sense for you to be able to do it like Kaya did, where you fixed it right on the same piece of paper, but then maybe mark what it was that you got wrong. Again, that shows me where to look to see that you fixed it. It also lets you see where you didn't get something the first time through. So you might go back and practice that again to make sure you've got that skill down for yourself. Does anybody have any questions about Floop or anything else at this point? I'm gonna take a break, take a sip of my water. How are we doing?
So the grading last year was just based on like the tests and stuff. So is it going to be different? It's going to be different this year, or how is it different? Or
it's going to be different this year. I think in the syllabus, I wrote down the % that's going to be tests and the % that's going to be assigned work. And I forget if it's like 25-75 or 30-70, but it's right around that. I can't remember what it is exactly. So, you know, there's a decent percentage that's the work that I assign to you that you get credit for getting done. And a big chunk of it is still going to be on assessments, but assessments is going to be kind of tricky. I don't know how I'm going to do that exactly so that I can, you know, make sure that it's your work and not somebody else's and that kind of thing. I'll probably have to have video on while you guys are testing or something like that. I don't know, but we're working on that still. Any other questions right now on Floop or anything else? Okay, so if you don't have something done at this point, you're going to get it done by when?
Sunday.
Good, by Sunday. And if you need an extension, you just ask, right? So if you can't get it done by Sunday, just ask. And so I wanted to do a little bit of math with you guys. I actually, most of it is from the assignment that I had you guys do in Floop. But if you guys would all kind of watch what I do for just a second real quick first. Oh, I need to share my screen. Okay, so we're going to go into the classwork tab of Google Classroom. You're going to open up this assignment that posted today, and you are going to add this extension. So you're going to click on the Equasio link first, and on your screen, it's going to say add to Chrome. You're not going to add it to your computer. You're just going to add it to Chrome. And if you've ever used extensions before, you know that it will then appear up here in this kind of puzzle piece area. That's where your extensions go. Since this distance learning started, I found all kinds of things that were kind of fun. This Mote and Dualist, they're all great extensions. Anyway, so I want you guys to go add this extension. So stay in the Zoom, click away from the screen, add that extension, and then just hold the thumb up for me so I know you've got it. And I'm just gonna watch you guys do it now. Okay, so again, just hold your thumb up for me once you have added that extension.
Where is it linked on Classroom?
In the classwork tab, and if it doesn't show, it may be that you may need to reload because it only, it was scheduled for 5 minutes before class started. So in today's assignment is where you'll find it. And if you are having trouble at any point, go ahead and unmute and just ask. Okay, I see a couple of thumbs up. Good. Anybody else having trouble that need some help? Again, just kind of hold it up there so that I can see once everybody's good to go. And Kaya and Kaden and Luca and Rafaela, I want to see both of your thumbs up because you're both on different devices, right? Each on your own device, because you guys are going to be working on your own assignment here in just a minute. So you're going to need it on your own device. Oh, Caden's going to go get his. Okay, we're almost there, it looks like. Okay, so just so that I don't mean to embarrass anybody, but just checking in. Okay, good. I see a Lucas thumbnail. Brooklyn, how are you doing?
I'm good. I just got a new computer, so I have to download Chrome and then get the extensions. So it's kind of taking a minute.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go without you then probably. And if you need to go back and watch this again later, you can. Okay, and then Dea, are you good? Okay, good. I see your thumb. And April, how are you? Good. And then Luca and Rafaela, both of you good? Okay. All right. Okay, so then we're going to open up that assignment and we're going to start playing with Equagio, which I'm a big fan of. I have been learning some new things, and because you guys are, big math brains, and probably a lot of you are also really good with technology stuff, if you guys learn some cool tricks with doing math on your computer or on your Chromebook, if you could share them with me or with the class, I would really appreciate that. But this is something that I learned about that I'd like you guys to see. So I actually I went and got my iPad here because I do not have a touch screen on my computer. And I think that if you guys are on your Chromebooks, you all have touch screens at least. Some of you may have styluses also, but I believe you all at least have touch screens, which will be nice when you're using this Equagio thing. So the first thing is go ahead and open up this document here. So again, back to Google Classroom. You're going to open up the actual assignment, which is the Google Doc called Revisiting the First Calculus Textbook Assignment, I think is what it's called. So you're going to have that open. And I need you guys to watch what I'm doing for a second. So make sure you're on my Zoom screen here and not playing in your document right now. I just want to show you guys a couple of things. So the first thing I did is I moved my cursor down in this first problem here where I'm going to be working. I also need to turn Equagio on. It's not on right now. And some people have had a hard time getting this to work. Again, this puzzle piece here is where your extensions may be hiding, but I've got my Equagio extension with a pin. So it shows up right here. Okay, so anyway, I click that, and when I clicked that, you guys should see that appears down at the bottom. The bar appears down at the bottom. And I'm going to select this insert math space next. Okay, so when I select that, it actually opens up a new window, and it's going to allow me to use this math space, which is then going to move stuff into that document that I'm working in. So I'm going to give you guys just a second to do what I just showed you. So again, in the document, you're going to click this in. Well, first you turn on the extension, click the insert math space, and that should take you to this window here. Okay, and so I want to see some thumbs up once you're there. And if you need help, unmute yourself. I can allow you to share your screen if need be. Good, seeing some thumbs up. Anybody not able to add that Equagio extension? Anybody not able to access it from the document? by the way, just a quick note, if you ever have to step away from the screen, like if you have to run to the bathroom or something like that, if you would just let me know, and you can turn off your video, but otherwise you should not be turning off your video. You should not be walking away from the screen. Just a little side note here. Okay, so I am going to start working now. And again, if you need to go back and watch this later, you can, but I'm going to ask that you guys take a look at my screen again here, and I'm going to show you guys what I can do. So let's see, that first problem, I need to figure out what f of 3 plus h is. I also need to figure out what f of 3 is. So I'm going to start off by figuring out what f of 3 is. And so this is actually, I can use this freehand drawing thing. I can also use this handwriting recognition. And so when I do that, I can go f of 3. And again, this is hard because I'm just using my mouse pad here, equals, and now it would help if I could see my screen, but I think it's 4 plus, and then it's 3x. So anyway, like I said, this is kind of hard to do with my trackpad, so I'm actually going to use my iPad, and I'll show you how I did that in just a second. But I use this blue check mark down here to insert this math. So whatever is showing up in here got inserted up there. All right, and then from here, because I'm in this math space area, I can now click this insert button up there in that top right-hand corner there, and it pops that thing in there that I had in that math space there. Okay. So why don't you guys give that a try? And like I said, I'm actually using my iPad because I have, you know, a stylus and I can write on it a lot easier. And so if you, let's see, if you click this Equatio Mobile, it tells you how you can connect another device like that, which is kind of handy. So while you guys are writing that in there, so right now we're going to figure out what f of 3 is. Okay, because we need to know what f of 3 is. I'm gonna start writing it into mine. And if you have a question, please feel free to unmute yourself. So I'm going to make those a little bit smaller so that they aren't quite so big. And so now I have what f of 3 is. And now I'm going to figure out what this next part is. I'm going to figure out what the f of 3 plus h is. Okay, so I'm over on my iPad and I'm just writing it by hand and I'm inserting it. And again, if you have a question, please just unmute yourself and ask your question. So because this was a part that some people kind of struggled with, I wanted to show you guys something. So if you could look at my screen for just a second, you can see over on my iPad, I wrote this and got this to pop up. So this is my f of x function, right? F of x is 4 plus 3x minus x squared. And now what goes inside of each of those parentheses is this 3 plus h here. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change what I put there. And so to do that, I can actually, now that I have that in that kind of selection box there, I can come down here to, hold on, edit math. And that brings it down into this screen so that I can change what's inside there to the 3 plus H. And then in here too, 3 plus H. And then I can click the insert math and it replaces it. Okay, so I am gonna keep going and keep simplifying that, but I wanted to show you guys that part because I know that was a piece that some people struggled with. So I do need to simplify this part here, the 3 plus H squared first. And I'm gonna go ahead and also distribute the 3 at the same time. Okay, so take a look at my screen, make sure you are in agreement of the work that I'm showing there. I do like to see how you guys are doing your work, so it is important to show how you're getting your answers. Another spot that I saw people make mistakes on that FLUP assignment was not including parentheses here, so that minus sign or the subtraction sign has to get distributed there to each term. And if you notice me making a mistake, please speak up and mention it because it does happen. And the quicker you guys catch it, the less likely it is to affect other people. So keep an eye on me. I do make mistakes. So if you're watching my screen, you'll see that there is an error there, but it was just in the way that it read my H. It thought it was an N, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to fix that. Okay, so now I have what f of 3 is. And now I also have what f of 3 plus h is. I wonder if I can get that on the same line. I don't think so. And now I'm going to substitute both of those expressions into this original expression, the f of 3 plus h minus f of 3. Okay, so now I'm going to copy down this part here, and I'm going to substitute the 13 minus 3h minus h squared in for that first part, and I'm going to substitute that 4 in for that second part there. So I'm hoping you guys are getting a couple of things out of what we're doing here today. For one, that you're learning how to write math on your computer, and for another, that you're learning how to do the math if maybe you didn't know how to do it the first time. I did try to pick problems that there were several people struggling with, so. Okay, so that's what I have now when I substituted the f of 3 plus h expression in, right? And the f of 3 expression in. And now I'm just going to simplify all of that. Did I make a mistake? I feel like I made a mistake. I did. Can anybody find my mistake? So I have a mistake in this expression here.
You didn't subtract the 9, you kept the 13, but the 9 was removed.
Thank you. And that should be a 4, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you. Good job.
You typed 5.
Thank you. Way to keep an eye on me. There we go. Okay, so now there's that, and now that's gonna affect this here. Or is that what I just fixed? That's what I just fixed. And so that then changes this here. So that's a 4. Okay. You guys probably didn't make that mistake, so you're probably ahead of me now. So what does that final answer end up being? Those 4's subtract away. So we have a negative 3h minus h squared all over h. And I want to encourage you guys to factor whenever possible. So when you have the negative 3h minus h squared, there's a common factor of h that you should divide out or factor out. And then when you do that, you have a negative 3 minus h all over h. And you can then divide out that common factor of h. So does anybody have any questions so far? What do you think? How's this going? Kind of cool, huh? Anybody need to see that longer, or are you guys okay on that one? Okay, again, I will post the recording in Zoom later, so you will be able to get back to that if you need to see it again. I'm going to go ahead and talk about the next problem that quite a few people either missed or I'm not convinced that you really understood it completely. So either because you didn't show your work or for some reason. So when you are looking at the domain of a function, that means you're trying to find all the values of x that will work in the function. Because we have a fraction here, anything that makes the denominator 0 is not going to work. And also because we have a root, a 4th root, if this part on the inside of the root, the radicand, if that comes out to be a negative, that also doesn't work. Okay, so the first thing to do is figure out what values will make that denominator 0. And a lot of people got that part just fine. And I do want to point out that factoring on that does work the best. So again, if I want to know what makes that x squared minus 5x equals 0, then I'm going to factor the x out. And I'll show you what I mean here. Okay. And now I can see that x is 0 and x is 5 is what's going to make that radicand equal 0. Okay, so again, x equals 0. and x equals 5. So for sure, those are values that are not in the domain, but there's more than that. Okay, where am I? Why it's not working? There we go. Okay, so like I said, besides just knowing what makes the denominator 0, because those cannot be in the domain, the 5 and the 0, because those will make the denominator 0. I also need to see what's going to make this radicand negative. That will also not be in the domain. So what I'm going to do is I know that these zeros here, the 0 and the 5, those are important values, and they actually break up the entire number line into 3 different intervals. And so I'm going to start by writing down what those intervals are. I have the interval from -infinity up to 0, the interval from 0 to 5, and then the interval, oh, hang on a second. The interval from 5 to infinity. Okay, and you can see when this pops up here, it picked up my comma as a 1. So I could go in and fix that if I needed to by clicking this edit math. Probably not that big of a deal, but just so you guys see that happening again. So now what I want to do is I want to see which of those intervals will give me a negative value and therefore will not be in the domain, and which ones will give me a positive value and therefore will be in the domain. So I can test a value in each interval. So if I tested x equals -2, for example, so I'm just going to type that in to let you know that's what I'm testing. If I test that x equals -2, I'm going to plug that -2 into the x squared minus 5x just to see if that's giving me a negative or a positive. Okay, so again, I'm substituting that -2 into that radicand there, into the x squared minus 5x. Okay, and when I do that, I get 4 plus 10, which is 14. And because that gives me a positive value, that tells me that that interval is in the domain. If I were to then test a number in the 0 to 5, let's say a +2, you would find that that doesn't work, because if you look at this here, I would then have a 4 minus 10, which would give me a -6. And that -6, you cannot take the 4th root of. You can't take an even root of a negative number. So that 0 to 5 is not in the domain. If you were to test the 5 to infinity, you would find that, let's say you plugged in x equals 6, 36 minus 30, for example, that would work. And so that's how you know the domain for this one ends up being, and I think I can just type this pretty easily. The domain is in interval notation, -infinity. I'm just going to write it like that, up to 0. And then I'm going to union that with, or I could also put a comma in between because it means the same thing. And then 5 to + infinity, right? And if I wasn't trying to go fast, then I could definitely use my Equatio math space to type that in and have it look nice. Okay, so how are we doing so far? Any questions? You guys all writing some math on that document? I'll get to see it later. All right. So the next one was graphing a piecewise function. Most people did pretty well with the actual finding of the values, so I'm not going to go over that part of this next question, but I am going to go through graphing it. I'm going to move this down onto the next page here. Okay, so let's see. I think I can actually do this graph editor, and I didn't play with this earlier. I was using my iPad earlier, but I'm going to see if I can do this. Oh yeah, it's going to make me actually type it in. I don't want to do that. Well, I guess I could do the different parts. So if I did y equals, I think it was x plus 1. I see that graph there. And I can do my y equals x squared. And let's see, I can probably insert that graph now. But this isn't quite right just yet, because that x plus 1 is only defined where x is less than -1. So on the x-axis here, x is -1 right there. And this blue line should only be defined to the left of x equals -1, okay? Because it says x is less than or equal to -1, it should only be that piece there, which means I need all of that to go away. With the x squared graph, it's kind of the opposite of that. The x squared graph is only defined from this x equals -1 point, and then everywhere to the right of that. So I need to draw this x squared graph without this piece here. Okay, so we have restricted domains for this. So I'm going to get rid of this because this is not actually helpful right now. I'm not going to use this graph editor here. I think what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to write it over on my iPad, and I'm just going to insert an image. So question?
Ms. Gressel, just letting you know that if you use curly brackets, you can add domain and range into the graph to
In
restrict it.
Desmos, right?
And in this graph inserter.
Yeah, and actually, Seamus, thank you for that. You're right. And I wanted to show everybody how to do it without using that. So I don't know if you guys recognize that, but that is actually Desmos right there. And you can see right there, it even says powered by Desmos. And so like Seamus was saying, do I have to put a comma there, or do I do just the curly brackets afterwards?
I think it's just a space afterwards.
Okay, so I don't need the comma. But how do I do the less than or equal to? Oh, I can bring up. Okay.
You can also just do the less than or greater than, and then add an equal sign after, and it combines them into one.
Gotcha. That's cool. Okay, well, I'm just going to draw it and then show you guys what I have, and then I want to talk about a couple little things. Oh, I set it to save as math. Darn it. It's not math. Bear with me here, folks. Okay, so I drew this quickly because I made a mistake and had to go back and fix it. But this right here is supposed to be where x equals -1. And so technically, these should not be kind of overlapping. They don't pass the vertical line test right now. But there's something else that's missing here that I need to fix. Because this top graph, the line is defined where x is less than or equal to -1, I need to have a solid point here at the end to show that that point is defined for that piece of the graph. And then for the x squared graph, because there's not an equal to sign, I need to make sure I have an open dot on the end of that to show that that point is not defined at x equals -1. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to actually change that. So I'm just going to delete that for now, and I'm going to redraw my graph because I can't edit it on my iPad. But I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so I've got the closed dot there at x equals -1 because that's where that piece is defined at x equals -1. but the parabola is not defined at x equals -1 because it does not have the equal to sign there. So I need to make sure to have an open dot there. So wanted to talk about that because that was something that I did not see on a lot of people's graphs, even if you had the rest of the graph correct. And again, Seamus, thank you for popping in and helping with that. I really appreciate that because there's a lot of this stuff that's so new to me that I'm learning how to do. Okay.
Wait,
so, yes.
If you insert the graph like and do like the brackets like Seamus said, it works. But like if you press the dot, like the point at which is supposed to be like solid or not, it shows, but then once you insert the graph, it doesn't show. So like, would you rather us just draw it like you did and then show that, or like have this, you know?
Does it, Brooklyn, does it show an open circle on
Not
the,
when you insert it, but when you press it after editing it, it does. But you could just
I
draw
think
it.
that I would like to see that you understand at least that there's an open circle on one of them.
Okay.
So if you need to figure out how to get that open somehow, I don't know how you would show that on there necessarily, but I
Okay.
would like to see that you know that that's open there. Good question. So you'll see I added another problem onto the bottom of this here because this was something I felt like a lot of people really struggled with, and it's something that's going to be really important. It's going to be an important skill going forward, is being able to interpret English into math. Okay. And so I was really hoping I would have some time to let you guys get into breakout groups and talk about this last one here, but I think we only have 10 minutes, so I probably will not do that. But I will encourage you to talk to other people about this problem later. But I am going to talk through 77 right now and then ask you guys to finish 79 later on your own. So because this tells me a rectangle has area 16 meters, I'm going to draw myself a little picture of a rectangle, and I am labeling the sides as length and width. And I will show that to you guys so you can see what I mean. Okay, so that's kind of big, but you get the idea. And then the area of that is 16, and so I'm going to write an expression for the area, which is basically 16 equals length times width. Length, let's go, times width, right? Then the question actually asks me to express the perimeter as a function of the length of one of its sides. So when you see that as a function of the length of one of its sides there, I want you guys to pay close attention to that. That means you are going to write an equation for the perimeter with only using a variable that represents the length of one of the sides. Okay, so using only one variable representing one of the sides. And this doesn't specify if it has to be the length or the width. So I could do either. So I am going to write down the perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2W. And I want you guys to look at that and think about that as this is a function of the perimeter. Sorry, this is an expression for the perimeter as a function of the length and the width. And I need it to be a function of only the length or the width. So I need to be able to eliminate one of those variables. So if I somewhere have another equation that has the same two variables, I might be able to use that equation to substitute into my perimeter equation to eliminate one of the variables there. So I'm going to take this 16 equals length times width, and I am going to now change that. I'm going to rewrite it as, let's say W equals, let's see, if I divide both sides by L, that gives me 16 over L. And then I can substitute that expression there in for the W here. And so then this perimeter equation becomes, the perimeter is equal to 2L plus 2 times, and instead of W, I'm going to substitute that 16 over L. And then I can just simplify that. It picked that up as a 1 instead of an L, but you guys know what I mean. So that I can write my perimeter equation as just P equals 2L plus 32 over L. And some of you guys, when you did this, even took it a step further than that and rewrote it as a single fraction. So got a common denominator here and wrote it as a single fraction, which is also very nice. But that's the kind of thing I'd like you to do with this one here. And I'd like to point out that it asks you to express the height as a function of the width, okay? So you've got a closed rectangular box with a volume of 8 cubic feet. And let me just show you, what am I doing here? No, that's not what I want to do. I'm going to insert math space, and I want to show you guys real quick here that I can go to these shapes right here, and I can find, I think, I'm looking for a rectangular prism, and I feel like
I believe it was closer to the top.
okay, I don't think they have a rectangular prism. How about a cube? There we go. And then I can do that, and I can click insert there, and it'll insert that picture there, and that's not where I meant to put it. So I'm going to paste it where I wanted it. Okay, and then I could label the sides of this as length, width, and height, right? And so I'm gonna write an equation for volume. And another neat thing about Equatio here is I can actually, that's not what I meant to do. I can actually start typing in volume, and there's formulas there. Volume of a prism, which might do the trick here for me. And so anyway, it does give you formulas, so that's kind of nice. Oops, and I'm going to insert that. And so the area of the base, you could say, is length times width, and then times the height of that there. And so at any rate, there's some neat things that you can do to try with that. And does anybody have any questions at this point on any of that? Okay, so one thing I'd like to make sure you guys hear and know is that I don't have scheduled office hours, but I am going to be available until 5 o'clock every day. So if there's ever anything that you think you need help on, if you send me a message by 5 o'clock, I can schedule something with you. Okay, so I would always recommend trying to do your math before that, even though it's not technically due till midnight. At least looking at it and making sure you feel like you understand how to do it. So if there's something you're not sure how to do, you can send me a message and we can schedule something to get you the help that you need. Okie dokie. Okay. In general, you can email me anytime, and I often will check my emails in the evening, but if you email me before 5, I will do my best to get back to you that day. If it's after 5, I might be relaxing away from a computer for a little while. So I might not be able to get back to you if it's after 5 in the evening. Okie doke. Okay, and that's all I have for today. So if you guys would unmute yourself, say goodbye so that you light up for me, and then just give me a wave. You're welcome to go. If you have questions, please go ahead and stick around and we can chat after everybody's gone. Thanks, you guys.
Bye.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Oh, my classmates. Jesus.